The concert singer. Dorothy Brown was extremely happy as she sat in the theater listening to the music. Lauren's first concert, she thought. I've waited for this moment for years and years, and now it is here at last. How pretty she is. What a beautiful voice she has. As she listened to her young daughter singing, she remembered when she was Lauren's age. As a young girl, Dorothy wanted to be a concert singer too. She studied in France, Italy, and United States. You can be a fine singer someday, her teachers told her, but you must be prepared to study hard and work for many years. There will be no time for anything but music in your life. Dorothy was 18 at that time, and she was positive that music was all she wanted or needed to fill her life. For almost a year Dorothy thought of nothing else. Then she met David, a young engineer traveling in Europe. They met in Italy, where Dorothy was studying with Professor Giovanni Bernini, one of the finest voice teachers in the world. Dorothy and David saw each other nearly every day, and after a few months David asked her to be his wife. Dorothy wanted to marry David, but she wanted a career in music too. She didn't know what to do. Finally she told Professor Bernini. He was not pleased at all. "No," he said. "If you really want to be a concert singer, you must forget about getting married." "But I can do both," Dorothy argued. "No, no, no," Professor Bernini answered. "You can't possibly do both. You must be prepared to sacrifice your life for your music. How can you think about anything else just before your first concert?" But then the teacher saw how unhappy his student was, and in a quieter voice he advised her to wait a few years and then make a choice. "Your young man will understand," he said. But David wouldn't understand. "I have to return to the United States next week, and I want to take you with me. I won't wait a few years. You'll have to decide now." Dorothy and David were married. They returned to the United States together, but Dorothy was never sure she had done the right thing. She just wasn't able to forget about her music. When Lauren was born, Dorothy decided her daughter would be the singer she always wanted to be. Lauren's childhood was filled with music. When she was only 5 years old, she started taking singing lessons. "You can't begin too early," Dorothy told her husband. Lauren had a phonograph and records, frequently went to concerts, and took voice lessons every week. In school, the young girl was in all the music programs, and when her teachers said Lauren had an unusual voice, her mother was extremely pleased. One evening, a few months before Lauren was to go to the university, Dorothy told David, "I want Lauren to go to Italy." "Italy?" David said. "But why?" "She has already decided to go to the university here in town. They have a very good music program." "I know, but I want her to study with my teacher Professor Bernini. He is still one of the finest teachers in the world. Are you sure this is what Lauren wants?" David argued. "Of course she wants it. What your girl with a voice like hers could say no?" Lauren did say no at first. "I'm sure Professor Bernini is a fine teacher," the young girl said. "But I don't need to go to Italy to study. I'd rather study here in town." Dorothy wouldn't listen. "Professor Bernini doesn't take every student who asks him, you know," she argued, "but you are my daughter. I've written to him, and he has agreed to take you. Will you go, Lauren? Will you go for me?" "All right, mother, if that's what you really want." A month later, Lauren went to Italy. Professor Bernini was very pleased. "The work I began with your mother," He told Lauren, "I will finish with you. I'll do my best," Lauren answered. "That's all I ask. We'll begin tomorrow," the elderly teacher said. For 5 years Lauren worked hard for the professor and for her mother, but a few months before her first concert she wrote to her parents, "I like to be in the school music programs, but I'm not sure I want a singing career. If Professor Bernini hasn't asked you to leave," Dorothy answered in her letter, "then he believes in your talent and he knows best." When will your first concert take place? Professor Bernini wasn't positive Lauren was ready for a concert, but Dorothy was sure Lauren would be a success and she frequently wrote to her old teacher asking him about it. He finally agreed to let his student return to the United States. And now Lauren Elizabeth Brown was in New York City finishing her first concert in Town Hall. Professor Bernini wanted to be with her, but he was an old man and couldn't travel. "You will tell all about your big success when you return to Italy," he said before she left. When the concert was finished, Dorothy went to her daughter and said, "I was right there with you all the time. You are the singer I never could be. This is the happiest moment of my life." The newspapers reviewed the concert. The newspapermen were kind, but they wrote that the new young singer still had many years of study and hard work ahead of her. Lauren was very quiet when she returned to her family's apartment after the concert, but Dorothy couldn't stop talking. "You were a success," she said. "Every place you go, people will know you and say, 'That is Lauren Elizabeth Brown, the concert singer.' Of course you'll have to sacrifice other things. You'll have to return to Italy to study more. I agree with the newspapers about that, but there will be many more concerts. You'll travel and," David interrupted his wife. "Dorothy, please be quiet for a while. It's very late. Can't you see that Lauren needs some sleep? We can talk about all that other time. Lauren will be with us for a few weeks before she returns to Italy." Every day that she was home, a letter came for Lauren from Italy. It was always from the same person, a Jim Harris. At first Dorothy didn't say anything, but finally she asked who Jim Harris was. Lauren answered quickly. "Just a university student I met in Italy. You never told me about him," Dorothy said. "You're not thinking of getting married or anything like that, are you? You've just started singing and you know you have no time for anything but music." "Mother," Lauren said, "I understand exactly what I have to do. You don't have to remind me. I'm not thinking about marrying Jim Harris or anyone else. Just forget about it." A week later, Jim Harris telephoned Lauren. He was in New York and he wanted to see her, but Lauren told him she was too busy. Her parents could see that their daughter was unhappy and that evening they decided to talk to her. "You've been quiet since you've been home," David said to the young girl. "Is something bothering you?" "It's nothing," Lauren answered, and left the room quickly. "Perhaps it's only that Lauren doesn't want to return to Italy," Dorothy said to David. "We could have her study in New York now. Professor Bernini is getting old. Maybe it's time to get a different teacher for Lauren." "Dorothy," said David, "we don't know what is bothering Lauren. It might be that young man who telephoned today." "Oh. No. David. Lauren's been too busy with her music. I'm sure she hardly knows that young man." "How can you be so sure?" "Well, Lauren told me that she isn't going to get married. She has her singing to think about. And that's just what she is thinking about. She knows how much this means to you and she believes she must do what you want. But she's happy with her singing," Dorothy argued. "Can't you see that? Perhaps Jim Harris or someone else can make her happier." "I don't agree with you, David. I think Lauren just wants to be in New York. Let's go and tell her what we've decided about getting a new teacher for her. We can't decide anything for Lauren, Dorothy. She's not a child. Our daughter is grown up now and she must decide what she wants to do with her life. Don't you understand that? I understand that she has a fine voice and she can be a big success as a concert singer. She ought to work hard to be that success. For herself or for you? His wife didn't answer. Dorothy, we must not let Lauren sacrifice her life for us. With these words, David got up and started to go to Lauren's room. Must you go right now? Can't it wait until later, David? No, her husband said. We must tell her now. We've waited too long already. Dorothy sat looking out the window. She watched a young bird learning to fly. At first, it wouldn't leave the tree, but soon with the help of its mother, the little bird flew away. David, Dorothy said, wait for me. We'll talk to Lauren together.
If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. There is a PDF for you in the description of this video and you can download it. Then you can interact by learning even more English by studying this article on this story. See you in the next videos. Bye.